Julie here with Sirius Talisman. This is Sol Hour Jupiter Day. And Sun is 19 degrees Sag, with Jupiter 23 degrees Cancer, retrograde, and the moon is applying to conjoin Ketu. So, I talked about the gnosis of Mercury on my lot of divination. But here's another thing. Basically, and I want to give a shout out to Light on YouTube with this one, because Light mentioned in one of her episodes something that I found very interesting, and then I had a eureka about that. Is that she mentioned that some people do energy rituals to siphon energy in order to have support. Now, I just want you to reasonably take a small moment to reasonably think about it. Because this is a Saturn-Pluto theme. And it's basically what I have received as kind of a gnosis. It is somebody did a ritual. And they did a ritual like that because they, I think, assumed that somebody is receiving support where they were not really receiving the level of support or the exact support that they thought that they were receiving. And they wanted to siphon energy, to siphon support for themselves. Now, that act was really undermining them, because it's kind of like a person committing a crime, then committing another crime to cover up for the crime that they committed. And in that way, they were undermining themselves. It can also be that they made a certain assumption that somebody is surrounded with support where they weren't. They could have been surrounded with people but what internally they held within themselves okay? Now, the effect of that is that now they have to unwind from what they did, and they can't siphon that energy to help them out. And not only that, because of this ritual that they did, they have exposed themselves to various, it's kind of like when somebody does a ritual, they hide themselves from the party that they did the ritual on. So they need to use third party and third party to the third party. What that creates is that the person that's recovering from their abuse, let's say, They're going to do the shadow work. They're going to do the this. They're going to do the that. And then they're going to address the societal issues, okay, the ritual abuse and so on and so forth. Now that exposed every single thing that that person could have been involved with, not by name. And it's almost like the person is recovering. They don't know it, but everybody around them knows. So all the while, they weren't really unsupported to begin with. They just had to untangle from something. Okay? That the support around them will only be truly supportive. It's kind of like when I talked about when people rape, then the nutrients don't absorb well, and then they make, the rapists make policies where the soil does not nourishing anymore. To undo that, they have to not rape, to stop any type of rape, and to begin to regrow the soil. And it seems like this moon Mercury has something to do with that. It's purging something there. That somebody understands that the more they try to siphon on the support that another person has for the endeavors of oppressing them, then that person, they will eat the weeds in the parking or whatnot, and that would have more nutrients than the most lavish food. And I guess it has something to do with the upcoming ingresses to Aries. Now, the gift of grace. Certain people were growing in really isolated worlds from one another. So they never really ran into. And even if they would see, let's say, native or indigenous communities, they'd be like, but they got colonized. Because they wouldn't see what's the C factor. Okay, native land, nutrients, and so on. What's the C factor? The C factor is rape. If you don't rape, then you get to enjoy the land. Then the food is nutritious and people don't have gluttony, which is basically lack of mineral absorption due to child trafficking, pedophilia, and rape. They called it a sin, but it didn't abolish child trafficking. When Uranus was in Aries, one of the real eurekas I had, there was a lady that was doing raw veganism. And she told me people are fat because they don't absorb minerals. And then they give them the medications that keep them from absorbing minerals. And she knew that because she was fat. And then she changed her nutrition to something that's actually nourishing. So, siphoning energy is not a way to be supported. Abolishing rape is a way to be supported. There are people that were in communities where the ritual abuse, and as children they had to rape, not just be raped, and they come out and people don't see them as criminals anymore because they tended to stop the rape. People don't judge them for their so-called past because it's not their fault they were born into that upbringing. That being said, we cannot continue with that trajectory. Otherwise, humanity is going extinct. This is why siphoning energy doesn't really work. It's like eating a big pomegranate that grows without nutrients. It looks delicious. It maybe even tastes really, really sweet or really good. Or not, I don't know. But it's not actually having the, the real abundance of a pomegranate because it was grown in rape laden soil by rape laden methods and sometimes under human trafficking. A lot of the food crisis that's happening in the world, okay, it pushes people to begin to learn how to collect the crops at the side of the roads. And they find out, wait a second, that's more nourishing than the best food they ate in their lives. We were out there demonstrating about the food prices, the costs of living, trying to think, trying to this, trying to that, doing everything but picking the amaranth at the side of the road. And thus we were not eating food. Okay, so if I think about like a shadow work, or the way that maybe I can say about me, but maybe you who listen to this could resonate with, and that's some people haven't undermined themselves by siphoning energy. Some of them just went to these demonstrations, got targeted, but didn't pick because we didn't know better. And that's the thing, that it's an opportunity to know better. And I hope that that's a positive message for those type of things.